Deep in the dusty heart of Peru's desert, something strange and ancient lies hidden underfoot. Imagine the scene. The morning sun barely over the horizon as a small plane glides silently above the Nazca Plains. From the air, the flat canvas below shifts and changes. At first, only beige and rust-red sand stretches to the horizon, but gradually, long, pale lines and curves appear, forming vast figures that make no sense from this height. A great hummingbird stretches its wings across the desert. A colossal spider seems poised as if about to weave a web, and a whimsical monkey with a spiraling tail wanders across the sand. These are not mirages, but the Nazca Lines, giant geoglyphs etched into the earth by an ancient people. But who made them? Why? And how did these people accomplish something so mysterious, hidden in plain sight for millennia? Before we go further, don't forget to subscribe to Ancient Dilemma for more ancient mysteries and discoveries. The Nazca Lines are more than mere drawings. They are a record of a civilization long vanished, etched on the earth. Between roughly 500 BCE and 500 CE, the people of Nazca carved these shapes into the Pampa Colorada, the vast, arid plain of southern Peru. In total, more than 800 straight lines, over 300 geometric designs, and nearly 70 animal and plant figures scatter across roughly 200 square kilometers of desert. Some straight lines run for miles. The largest animal figures stretch hundreds of meters, as big as skyscrapers. Remarkably, the intense sun and still air of this high plateau have preserved the pale lines for thousands of years. But how did the Nazca people plan and create images of such scale without ever flying? Each line and figure we see today was born of faith, ingenuity, and ritual, as much a part of Nazca life as their food and water. These mysterious lines call out through time, begging us to listen and decode their secrets. As we begin to unfold this story, if the mystery of the past intrigues you, take a moment to subscribe to Ancient Dilemma and accompany us on this journey. To understand the Nazca Lines, we must first know the people behind them. In this extreme desert of southern Peru, the Nazca carved out a life from almost nothing. Scorching sun by day, freezing cold by night, unrelenting winds. This was their world. Yet they turned sand and stone into a thriving agricultural civilization. Deep underground, they carved out spiraling canals and tunnels called puquios, bringing hidden spring water to the surface. Through these ingenious aqueducts, desert villages grew maize, beans, squash, cotton, and other crops. The Nazca people built raised fields and terraces wherever a trickle of water could reach. Their irrigation mastery made the barren desert bloom. In the river valleys and foothills, villages grew up along the streams. Cahuachi, a ceremonial city of adobe pyramids and plazas, became a major pilgrimage center for festivals and rituals. Nazca religion centered on water, agriculture, and fertility, expressed in ceremonies to their gods of rain and earth. Visionary priests and shamans may have used local hallucinogenic cacti in these rites, seeking messages from the spirit world. Art, textiles, and even the Nazca Lines themselves were imbued with this sacred symbolism. Influenced by the earlier Paracas people, the Nazca became known for dazzling textiles, polychrome pottery, and elaborate iconography depicting anthropomorphic deities and powerful animals. How did the Nazca accomplish these feats of engineering? Archaeologists have clues. The lines are shallow cuts about a foot deep, created by scraping away the weathered reddish stones to expose the pale sand beneath. In the corners and edges of some figures, researchers have found clusters of small stones, likely ancient survey markers or base points for ropes. By driving wooden stakes into the desert and stretching cords between them, the Nazca could outline each shape with surprising accuracy. Working under the desert sun and starlit sky, teams of people would then walk the lines, clearing away the surface layer to carve the design. Despite such simple tools, just ropes, posts, and manpower, the precision of geometry on this massive scale is astonishing. Among the most famous Nazca geoglyphs is the great hummingbird, carved more than 90 meters long into the earth. Its delicate form, outstretched wings, and long, slender beak frozen in flight. In many cultures, hummingbirds symbolize endurance, vitality, and the life force. In this arid world of intense sun and parched earth, the hummingbird may have represented beauty, renewal, and fertility. Some scholars speculate that offerings were placed at its center during ceremonies to bless the fields. Imagine dawn breaking over the desert, a priest laying flowers and corn kernels on the white sand of the hummingbird's belly, a prayer for new life under the watch of its impossible wings. The spider sprawls nearly 46 meters across the desert, its long legs and web-like body unmistakable. This creature often evokes water and weaving in Andean art, as if it weaves dew in the morning or threads rainbows in the sky. In such an arid place, carving a giant spider may have been a plea to the gods for rain and fertility. Intriguingly, modern studies show the spider's shape can trace Orion's belt in the night sky, merging cosmic pattern with earthly art. One can picture Nazca priests, cacti smoke rising at their feet, gazing from the hill at Orion and at the carved spider below, hoping to coax moisture from the heavens. The monkey geoglyph is another masterpiece, nearly 90 meters long, its body drawn with exaggerated limbs and a spiral tail coiled like a question mark. Monkeys do not live in the Nazca Desert, so this design hints at distant rainforests and the Nazca people's connections to other lands. In many myths, monkeys are tricksters and clever creatures, often symbols of mischief or playful spirits. Perhaps the Nazca carved the monkey to invoke light-hearted joy in their rituals, or to honor alliances with jungle neighbors. One can imagine townspeople dancing along the monkey's arms, laughing under the sun in a festival of gratitude. Beyond the best-known animals, the Nazca etched an entire landscape of symbols. A monumental tree stretches skyward. Graceful flowers bloom from the desert floor. A huge condor takes flight with wings outstretched, perhaps honoring the sacred bird of the Andes. Far off, a stylized whale appears as if carried by phantom waves, hinting at a link between the desert people and the Pacific Ocean. And on a hillside stands a strange humanoid figure, later nicknamed the astronaut, though it likely represents a shaman or deity rather than an actual visitor from the stars. Keen eyes turned skyward. In 1941, archaeologist Paul Kosak noted that at the winter solstice, a setting sun aligned exactly with one of the great Nazca Lines. He famously called the desert the largest astronomy book in the world. Kosak and Maria Reicha spent decades mapping stars and solstices, convinced some lines pointed toward sunrise on key dates or at important constellations. In their view, the Nazca Lines were an enormous sky calendar. You can picture a priest at dawn, standing on one of the great trapezoidal plazas as the sun rises, its light climbing along the line of a carved hummingbird. a cosmic clock of sand and light. Others think the Nazca Lines served a more earthly purpose. Archaeologist Johann Reinhard proposed that many lines lead from villages towards sacred springs or mountain shrines. In this parched land, families might walk these paths with offerings of corn, llama fat, or coca leaves, hoping the gods would send rain. Wide trapezoids and rectangles carved into the desert floor become amphitheaters for these rituals. Communal plazas where people gathered to propitiate deities of water and fertility. For the Nazca, water was life. Each carved animal, spider, hummingbird, monkey, may have been an offering meant to honor and awaken the land's life-giving forces. Then there is the more fantastic interpretation, ancient astronauts. In the 1960s and 70s, books like Erich von Däniken's Chariots of the Gods suggested the Nazca Lines were giant runways or messages for visiting aliens. That idea made headlines, but it has no support among archaeologists. No metals, no machinery, just the evidence of an ingenious people. Yet even as scientists debunk these theories, the image of otherworldly visitors persists. Standing here, it's hard not to feel a twinge of wonder. Who among us hasn't looked at those impossibly straight lines and wished for a cosmic explanation? For centuries, the Nazca Lines remained hidden, known only to local villagers and ancient writers. In 1927, a Peruvian professor named Toribio Mejia Gespe climbed a hill and first described a vast animal shape in the sand. In the 1930s, military pilots flying over Peru began to notice strange markings on the ground. But it took a curious historian to piece it together. In 1941, American scholar Paul Kosak flew over the Nazca Desert and beheld a giant hummingbird etched in earth, with lines aligned to the sunset. He famously called the Nazca Plains the largest astronomy book in the world. Paul Kosak enlisted German mathematician Maria Reiche to map the lines. She arrived in 1940 and fell in love with their mystery. For the next 40 years, Reiche lived beside the desert, her days filled with ropes and measuring tapes as she surveyed each figure by hand. She measured the monkey's tail, traced the condor's wingspan, and carefully recorded every line and spiral. Reiche's devotion was legendary. She built a small adobe house on the desert's edge and virtually lived among the geoglyphs, battling to protect them as Peru's most precious heritage. Today, archaeologists still uncover new lines hidden by the shifting sands. In 1994, UNESCO declared the Nazca Lines a World Heritage Site, ensuring their preservation. Even with modern technology, each drone flight or satellite scan only adds more pieces to the puzzle. In that sense, the story of the Nazca Lines is still being written, one discovery at a time. In the end, the Nazca Lines remain an unanswered riddle. All our science has not fully unveiled their meaning. Perhaps that was their intent. A mystery left for each generation to contemplate. As the sun sets over the desert, the hummingbird and spider fade into shadow as guardians of a secret we may never fully uncover. Yet they still speak to us, echoing human longing and faith across time. Under that vast Peruvian sky, they whisper an invitation. Seek, wonder, and never stop asking.